You can see Paul's just cleared some of the understory. So we've just finished excavating the chute from the brook. So the track dumper will carry about 10 tonne quite comfortably. I think we'll probably only get about 6 bags on there though. I won't be able to demonstrate on film how soft this ground is. So we're starting a new project today, over in Staffordshire. Got a little bit of wet woodland. First job today is to get access. Access to site is really tight. We're going to have to go through here. So we've moved these brambles, take out that hazel. It's a shame because it's a lovely old hazel. A few sycamores, and then get down there into the sedges. There's a little river down there that we're going to do a restoration on, create some riffles, new spill out area, some chutes, so we get the water into the wet woodland. But this bank's quite difficult to contend with. We've got quite a lot of material to bring in here, boulders, as you'll see through the project. So today's all about getting access, regrading the access area down this slope and getting the machine, which today the machine we brought is a 13 tonne excavator, down into the site and make sure that we can travel over the sedges and read. But we've been brought in to try and solve this because it's a tricky site. A couple of other people have decided that it's not for them. So we're going to come in, make sure we can try and travel down there. And then tomorrow, if it all goes well, we'll bring the big Morooka in, we'll get a track dumper down there, start moving some stuff about. First off, get the digger unloaded. Brought a load of old car tyres with us. Just protect the tarmac, protect the curb. You can see Paul's just cleared some of the understory. Just drop that down, out the way. All that's going to get hooked back and put into the toe of this bank, just down where Paul is now. We're going to drop these 3 sycamore, length those up, and we'll use that material on the bottom of the bank as well. Just help form a raft on that soft ground just for the approach angle and descent angle of the track dumper and the excavators. So now we're just going to knock these other 2 over as well and then try and get rid of this hazel. I think hazel's one of my favourite woodland trees, really. It's just so useful, isn't it? Whether it be walking sticks or pea sticks or beam poles, you can do so much with hazel. It was, that coppice material. It goes back into our ancient history, doesn't it, of a useful thing in the woodlands to work and harvest. I'm just going to scrape these brambles in front of us off because the rest of the hazel's going to have to drop this way. Yeah, clearing these brambles out first will just make it that much easier to work in. So that's the last of the hazel. Just got to chop the bottom of the stool off nice and low so I can track over it. Push all that out of the way. Get those sycamores down and we'll see if we can make a nice access ramp. Paul's now acts as banksman and Andy at the other end of the track. So hopefully we'll just go in now and push all this material back down the hill. So I think with the wind as it is, we'll just push this sycamore over. And I also want to try and do now is get this hazel stump out. If I leave that in there, then track over it, it could easily pull a track off. It's important really just try and keep this brash perpendicular to the tracks. And the way we're going to be passing, I don't want this poking back up and causing us problems underneath the carriageway of the machines. I mean, we are protected underneath, but there's no point having stuff poking up and causing us unnecessarily problems. Well, the machine's travelling all right. We've got a slope in. It is pretty damn wet down there. It's a little bit of movement to it. But we've got quite a lot of journeys to make over there with the track dumper, so it's no big cigar yet. but we're operating on there, which is good. We just need now to work out exactly where we're operating down there, find the location pins, and then we just clear our access to our work zones. Happy days. So far, so good. So we're back on the wet woodland project again today. Today's job is to create the chute area that's going to allow water peak flows to flood into the wet woodland. Paul's just trimming some branches off now so we can get in with the excavator. So he's going to trim that back so we can dig into the side of the river channel. I say river, it's a small brook. Dig into the channel and we're going to set the height of the chute that's just above nominal water level. Now the whole site is sloping round in that direction. So we're going to dig this area down. We're taking about 750 mil off it. We're going to shallow around the tree roots behind me. Graduate that down a little bit behind them. Spoil up onto the higher ground. We don't want to alter the hydrology of the floodplain dramatically, so we're only going to put maximum of 200 mil of material over the surrounding higher areas. And then as the water flows, it'll make its way round down to the further end of the lower part of the site. So that's going to do a few things. One, it's going to maintain this habitat, which is really quite soft underfoot in very damp conditions. It's going to maintain that wet woodland habitat. So for the tree species like the willows that are predominant here, and the sedges that are further down the site, it'll promote that habitat of keeping the area moist. Obviously over time, a site like this, the ground height grows, leaf material, silt deposits, the whole thing increases in height very slowly over time, which alters the hydrology of the whole of the river catchment. So we've got flooding issues downstream. So by creating these areas of depression so the water can leave the main channel, acts as a buffer. So as the water levels increase, some water can be held within the catchment, reducing the peak problems lower downstream. So it's ticking quite a few boxes. We've just finished excavating the chute from the brook. You can see down there we've pulled through the bank and we've just taken that down to the nominal water height now that the brook's sat at, bringing that through into the woodland. And that extends round now, back of those sycamore, and can flood through this direction and then through into the wider woodland area. This will hold water in shallow pools, varying depths. So the finish that the client's asked us to leave is quite a rough finish really, to be fair. Don't want it all flattened and graded out. If it's graded out real smooth, then when it rains you get a lot of sediment washing in, so leaving it quite rough finish so that seeds, grasses, wetland plants here can colonise quickly. Quite difficult working in these situations. Tree branches, you know, lots of obstacles to work around with the excavator. We've just laid some of the willow rather than to remove it for access. You can see a piece there. We've kind of just sort of like accelerated a natural process really, like it had come down in the wind. You know, just pushed that down with the excavator, soiled in some of the lateral branches into the ground so they can shoot and root. We'll just get the big track dumper unloaded now, try and get down to this wet wood and see how we travel. Space to manoeuvre this thing in a cul-de-sac really. We've had a delivery of the first lot of gravels, so just lifting those on now with the telehandler up onto the big track dumper so we can take them off down into the woods. This isn't the sort of normal environment that we're working in off the edge of a housing estate, but we've got the access made, we're making it work. So the track dumper will carry about 10 tonne quite comfortably. I think we'll probably only get about 6 bags on there though. That reversing beeper on the telehandler doesn't get any less annoying, does it? So I think you see that demonstrates really well how light this treads So the weight of the machine, 6 tonne on the back, that's about 16 tonne. It's just squashing the grass down. It's not doing any more than my foot. In fact, it's probably doing less than my foot. It's a proper kit for this sort of environment. Yeah, we couldn't do half the things that we do in these sort of environments without this sort of carrying machine. We've got the lifting cross now for the bags, that bag lifter. Going to go on to the end of the 13 tonner, and then we can pick these bags up, and we're going to put all the bags that have been delivered today all down here ready, sort of marshalled out for tomorrow. Then we've got a different type of stone coming in tomorrow. We can blend the different stones together to create the mix that the client specified into the back of the dumper. Then we can take that then straight down into the river and do the reprofiling work and get this riffle created. Andy's down in the woods making some brash. We'll show you that in a little while, and that's going to be part of the sediment control when we start working in the watercourse. The great thing with a lifting cross like this is it obviously is equal pressure on all those tabs. Back in the day we used to use a strop fed through all the little hoops and a shackle, and one, it's really slow. The big problem is if the strop then slides through those hoops, then it can have a sawing action and rip the bag or rip the handles. Whereas a cross like this is absolutely ideal, really fast to unload, much safer. So ideally on these sort of sites we'd have bulk material and have a marshalling area we could tip up and then load the dumper with to bring it all down loose. Load less packaging. A more cost effective way, but unfortunately as you've seen the area we're working in and the access off a housing estate, we've just got no option to tip bulk material and rehandle it on site, so that's why everything's going to have to come in on bags. So I'll just show you this. Andy's busy now cutting willow brash, tying it up into these bundles. What we use those for is we're going to put posts into the stream before we start excavating. We'll attach all these into the stream so they can't wash down. And as we start excavating, any sediment will get trapped in all those leaves and all that brash material, drop out of the water, so we don't create a sedimentation problem further downstream. It's a proper icy morning, first frost of the year. Really cold. So as promised, Michael did criticise me when I bumped into him a few weeks back that he'd given me a GCS hat and I still haven't worn it. I said, Michael, it's summertime. I'll wear your hat when we get frost. So there you go, Michael. If you're watching, let us know in the comments. GCS hat, keeping my head warm. I did give Michael one of our Caddis caps, but he says he won't wear it. Even he's a couple of years older than me, lucky enough to have more hair than I've got. So I'm much just grateful for GCS hat, keeping my head warm. So we're back on the river project. Today we've got stone coming in, they're like a river cobble. So rounded material like you'd find in a stream as opposed to angular quarried material. We're going to put the brash into the river, then we're going to dig out the sediment to get to a nice firm bed, and then we're going to start importing the gravel, mixing the gravels and boulder stone together in the back of the dumper, and then we can put that into the river, create this riffle where we're going to increase the height of the stream bed so that the water will start to move over it, add oxygenation to there, and create great habitat and improve water quality. So that's what we're going to get on with. Hope you enjoy the rest of the video. See the stone in the bottom of there now, the water's just cleared. We'll just keep tipping this in now and then we can profile it once we've got all the material into site. So this is what happens when the design team come down to site, you see. They play games. How's that? Is that fun? Yeah. Good stuff. Right, so we've got this willow tree now that's growing down into the watercourse. Andy's just going to partially cut through it, vertical cut on the back side, so that I can pull it with the excavator and break it down into the watercourse. Then we can bed that with the stone. And that'll be part of that living feature in the stream bed. So hopefully by that partial cut, as we pull it with the excavator now, it'll still stay attached, just drop into place. So I'm just going to try and pull that willow now that Andy's cut. So you can see that piece of willow there, and it's partially sawed through, we've just cracked over. It's going to keep that alive. Create a living feature within the channel, and that'll help stabilise the stone and just sort of tie the whole thing together, locking that in with the stone there. See already how we're just changing the flow of the river. But this piece of willow branch obviously comes all the way through and under, poking up there, so that will colonise going forward. And you can just see the difference it's making here now in the water. So we're lifting the height of the stream, which is going to send water back through that top section that we started the video on, and spill through the wet woodland. And then just the very fact we've got the water gurgling through here will help oxygenate it, just create a more diverse habitat for aquatic life. We're just going to excavate the stream now, this next 10-metre section for the upper riffle, taking out this soft sediment so there's a firmer bed for us to install the stone onto. We've used a lot of brash rafting to spread the load of the machines under where the track dumper is and the haul route that we're taking this material out from and bringing the new stone in. Really soft ground. Times are the key now, really. We can't really mess around. We've got to get this cleaned out, so the stonework in today and tomorrow, and then be out of here before any more rainfall and before the whole of this area becomes more and more unstable as it starts to wet up further. Where with not having a decent marshalling area on site because we're working adjacent to this housing estate, it's where we just can't afford any letdowns from our suppliers that are bringing the stone in. I haven't got room on site to be able to store all the stone I need to complete the project, so we've got to bring it in each day. So we're a little bit beholden to those suppliers to make sure that comes in a timely fashion. If there's any delays, and this site will very quickly become unworkable. Every time that we've tracked with the vibration of the machinery, every pass of the machine, that vibration makes the site wetter and less stable as it starts to draw water to the surface. So Paul's going to take this load out now. See, even though this is spreading its weight so well, there will become a point where it'll go through the crust. So we put all this timber, fallen log and brash, just to try and raft as much as we can. There aren't many machines that will travel through that. There's another soft patch further up, so as we take the excavator back up there now to load the gravel bags, we'll try and find a bit more material to raft into that section. I won't be able to demonstrate on film how soft this ground is. Like every time I move the machine, everything's moving. I love working these sort of places. Sycamore tree here that had to come down for access. We'll utilise that into this soft patch. Healing up the extraction routes. It's not really having any major benefit of giving us any more ground support, but what it will do is just make it easier for the twin track machines to turn. So as they twist, they're not just digging a greater hole, and they can hopefully move with that. So just keep repairing it as we go. Again, just makes it less likely to start going through. When we finish this, we'll just heel over and grade everywhere out, so it doesn't leave machine. We'll leave a rough finish, but leave it so there's not loads of machine marks in here. It looks as natural as possible. There are a lot of contractors that wouldn't really want to take on putting their machines in these sort of places, but we've spent the last 20 years now just revelling in this sort of environment, and you've just got to keep thinking through all the time, how are you going to get through, how are you going to achieve it, how are you going to keep the machines moving, and rescue plan for if it does go wrong, how are you going to recover those machines. So one of the reasons we didn't bring the 20 tonner down here was on the 13 tonner, I've always got that in the pocket. I can bring a bigger machine in to recover this. If I get a bigger machine stuck down here, we've got nowhere to go. So the next job is to get some more of this stone back into the riffles, and we'll carry on working on those. I hope you enjoyed the video so far. If you've not already subscribed, please hit the subscribe button. Costs nothing. Really appreciate all the support we get by you guys subscribing, trying to grow our little channel. We just loaded some of the boulder cobble on. Now it's mixing some of the finer aggregates. Or can just slice the bags now. hydraulic quick hitch. Makes it much faster for changing the buckets. It's got a safety device built into this one so that if the pipe bursts, the bucket still can't fall off. Because this is the smaller gravels going on top of the larger river stone, doesn't take a lot of mixing. It all starts to fall through, mixing. Paul's going to back that up now and tip it in. I was watching Ollie Harrison a few weeks ago and he was trying to dig a pond out in his mum's garden. This is the thing he could have done with moving all that mud with. See the little auto lockers on the back door? Says I'm to get out in a really messy place. So you may have heard the expression, the difference a day makes. So we're back on what's hopefully going to be the final day on site with this wet woodland. And after we got the second riffle started yesterday, we've come back this morning and we've certainly raised the water levels through this wet wood. This is going to be a bit of a challenge, isn't it? We'll really see how good this track dumper is now. Yeah, the water levels have increased significantly. We've got standing water all over the work site, which I know the client is going to be absolutely delighted with. The challenge we're going to have is being able to continue to travel through here, and we've got another around about 35 tonne of material to transport over this site. We've got water now flowing through the woodland. I mean, this is going to be great habitat. Absolutely awful conditions to work in. Just hoping I can get across to the machines. So whilst waiting for the next delivery of stone to come in, I thought we'd just have a quick walk back up to the chute area where we started this project. You can see now, this is just working beautifully. Slow moving water just finding its way from that river channel. Now we've lifted the height by putting the 2 riffles in, and the water levels just come up slightly in the stream, upstream of those features. The water's just gently moving through the woodland here, in these depressions. It's finding its way all around the back of these trees and through, out, spilling through the woodland, seeping through to where we've just come through with that track dumper. I can't wait for the client to get on site. I think they're going to be absolutely delighted with what's happening here, meeting the objectives of the project. And I think that the success of how this water's moving through the woodland now, tested me to the team at Dynamic Rivers. You might have seen a little bit of them on the footage earlier. They've done the modelling and design for this project. Yeah, credit to them. The LiDAR data and everything of just finding where that water's going to flow and how it's going to react within this floodplain. Yeah, it's spot on. It's really is just coming together beautifully now. As long as we can get that gravel in, finish those 2 riffles off to get a shallow descent angle out of the feature so that we don't get undercutting, scouring and the stone wanting to travel forward down the river system, then this project's going to be hugely successful. Right, that's the very last bag of aggregate now to go in. It's getting really, really tricky conditions now. Morooka's really proven its worth now. It is almost unstoppable. It's just a piece of kit. Now, it might look like we're making a bit of a mess here. I suppose we are in a way. What we've got to bear in mind is that we're raising the water level of this stream, this watercourse, fairly significantly, and we're creating the chute to allow more water to come through the woodland. So this is kind of the objective. Whilst brown is not pretty, where we're working is well away from the watercourse. We're coming sort of perpendicular to it. So all the area across here is kind of acting as a filter. So if we do get a high rainfall event, all this mud and sediment, it can't just suddenly re-enter the watercourse. It's got to filter through all these sedges. So that's pretty good. And the way we've thought about where the access comes is kind of part of that sedimentary control, utilising the feature of the landscape to our best advantage. But once we've gone through this, healed it all over with the excavator, the sediment will drop, the vegetation will regrow, the water will become clear, and there'll be these little pools and isolated patches of water throughout the year. Okay, so there's one of the finished riffles. See how we brought this stone material into the sides just to protect the bank from erosion. This is backing up the water, a steep angle at the head as the water moves through. The riffle's shallowing down, the stone going down under the water to stop any erosion below it. That water we've got moving nicely now under here. Just see that's going to add life and oxygen. And just back it up so that it's coming back through the rest of the woodland. A little gurgling brook again. So as we come back out the woods now for the last time, we're just heeling over the extraction route. It's obviously all underwater now and really sloppy, but I don't want to leave the impressions. I don't want to leave the impressions of the digger tracks. So we're just smoothing the central rut out and softening the edges, and then that can all just start to settle, naturalise. We'll have these low-lying wet areas where the wetland plants can start to re-establish. I don't think there's anything worse than seeing like digger ruts on the obvious track where the machines have gone to carry out the works. It's nice that the whole thing naturalises and looks like it wasn't touched by man. So there we go, mission accomplished. Got both machines out. We're just finishing cleaning them off now. I think they're ready for a bit of a bath. Definitely bath time when the machines get back to the yard. I'll show you across here now. So you can see the water's starting to clear already. We've just smoothed out the track marks, so it'll just be undulating ground, different depths of water. See the sedges over there underneath the tree canopy? They should hopefully colonise the whole area. So what we're really hoping, with the water now will outcompete the balsam, sedges can take over there and habitat can be like really pristine and restored. So I hope you've enjoyed the video. We've certainly enjoyed making it and we've certainly enjoyed doing this project. If you haven't already, please subscribe. Really appreciate all the support from you guys that are subscribing. Like, add comments, any questions you've got, as always, just drop them in the box below. I try and respond to all of your comments. And join us in the next video. Sure what we're coming up next. I hope it'll be interesting. Have a good weekend.